I think it's a very tough decision for a corporation to make or a group to make. But I respect them when they make that judgment, and I support whatever judgment they make. But it's the best way to deal with this is for Georgia and other states to smarten up. Stop it.
All right, that was President Joe Biden talking yesterday, doubling down, which surprised me. I want to talk more about this new Georgia voting law. Major League Baseball has announced that the 2021 All-Star Game will be moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Denver, Colorado, in the latest example of progressive politics dominating American public life. Joining us now to talk more about this is the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. Governor Kemp, nice to have you back on. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Governor, there is so much misinformation out there right now about this new Georgia voting law, but taking the All-Star Game away, let's be honest, in the end, this is just going to hurt the people of Georgia already struggling from the pandemic.
Yeah, look, no doubt. That's who it's hurting. It's hurting the little guy, the big corporations, big entities like Major League Baseball are screwing the little guy on this one. I mean, people have been looking forward to the game coming, the taverns, restaurants, vendors, a lot of other folks, hotel owners and the hardworking Georgians in the service industry that are working at those facilities. I mean, they're the ones that are getting hurt by this, by moving a game to a state that, like ours, also has a voter ID requirement. They have less days of in-person early voting than we do.
Right.
I mean, this is just the biggest amount of hypocrisy that I've ever seen. And Joe Biden telling us to smarten up. He needs to smarten up and learn what's in the bill compared to his own state of Delaware.
Governor, let me ask you, did that surprise you yesterday? The president basically doubled down and told Georgia to smarten up after saying this is Jim Crow 2.0 a week ago?
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter to them. Facts don't matter to them. They are coming after you. They're coming after your ball game. It doesn't matter what state you're in. They're coming after your ball game. They're going to boycott your business. They're going to boycott your way of life if it happens to be different from them. And that's what we have to wake up and really fight here, because this is all about HR1, SR1, the federal takeover of elections and an unconstitutional power grab.
Yeah, I want to get to that in a minute. I think about the people in Fulton County, Cobb County. These are two counties that got Joe Biden elected, and he's turning his back on them right now. Do you think that Democrats are going to mention what you just said, that Colorado's only got 15 days of early voting while Georgia has 17, and both states require identification to vote? Or they're going to pull the All-Star Game out of Colorado now, too, when they figure that out?
Well, make no mistake. There's a lot of Democrat politicians that are now coming out saying this was a bad idea. We shouldn't punish our own people by moving the game or by boycotting. But that is their choice. They need to decide who they're going to stand up and fight for, people in Georgia, or they're going to fight for their president, or people in Colorado. I know who I'm fighting for. That's people in Georgia. And it's condescending, and people should know that even people like Stacey Abrams and Joe Biden that are saying, oh, we'll leave it up to the league, but we respect their decision or don't boycott. Make no mistake, they were in the back room, the smoke-filled room, pressuring these people to do that. They cannot have it both ways, and now they're backtracking.
Governor, I guess I got to ask you, did you have any conversations with Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred before any of this happened, before they pulled the game out of Atlanta? Did he call you?
Well, I did speak to him and offered to make sure he fully understood what was in the bill, because there was so much misinformation and lying by people all the way up to the White House, which is so unfortunate in our time, as well as a lot of the traditional national media supporting their cause, as you guys well know as much as anybody. But he really wasn't too concerned with that. And then the next time I talked to him, he was telling me the game was moved. And none of these entities, Major League Baseball, Delta, Coca-Cola, none of them, including the president, had mentioned anything specific that's true that they have a problem with.
Yeah,
they're just saying it's suppression, it's Jim Crow. I mean, it's a false narrative, and people need to understand that.
I want to talk about that. A lot's been made specifically about serving water at polling centers, which I think is just ridiculous. First of all, polling centers can still serve water in the state of Georgia. Right. They can have refreshments in the polling centers. People can bring their own water, their own food. That's accurate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They can order a pizza. They can order Grubhub or Uber Eats.
Right.
The county officials can provide water stations. And this is just within 150 feet of the precinct. If you're 151 feet, campaigns can set up tables, food trucks, they can hand out flyers, put up signs. I mean, this has been the case in Georgia for a long time, and many, many other states. This is all they have to grasp at. The question, too, though, that you need to ask, why are voters standing in line that long? It's because it's in Democratic-controlled counties. They need to do a better job of running their elections and moving people through the line so they're not standing out there so long. I mean, voters should be furious that that's the case. That doesn't happen in every county in the state. And if you read the bill, the legislature and the bill that I signed addresses that, holds them accountable, dictates the number of equipment, and mandates that they make changes if they do have long lines. But of course, Joe Biden's not talking about that.
Yeah, you make a great point about those Democratic-run precincts there. We have seen major companies, United Airlines, Delta, Coca-Cola, Delta and Coca-Cola, both Atlanta-based companies. They've caved to the mob. It's funny that CNN and the CDC are also based in Atlanta. They have not been boycotted. But tomorrow at Augusta National, the Masters golf tournament will begin. Rob Manfred, baseball commissioner, is a member at Augusta National. Have you had any conversations with the people who run that tournament about not bowing to the pressure? Not a single player has backed out yet.
Well, the Masters and Augusta National has a tradition of not getting involved in politics, which is, I think, exactly the right play, regardless of their opinion on the bill or not. I don't really know what that is. But whether we've had Democratic governors in the past or Republicans, Democratic legislatures controlled or Republicans, they've just stayed out of politics and had the greatest golf tournament in the world. And now Major League Baseball and Commissioner Manfred have just totally disrupted that, drawn politics into our sports, which is terrible for our kids growing up. Now everything is politicized, which is not good. We should be able to go to the ball game just like we go to church with, liberals and people in the middle and people on the right and worship or cheer for, our hometown team, whether it's the Georgia Bulldogs or Atlanta Braves or whoever.
That's right.
And not have to worry about politics for a few minutes. But that's just, I don't think the Masters is going to weigh in on this. They traditionally haven't. I mean, I've talked to them a lot about how we safely hold the tournament. We did that as well last year. And I think you'll see them just plow ahead and hold the tournament. I mean, look, we got a great business environment in Georgia. Our economy is cooking with gas, as they say down south, and we're going to keep it that way. These big companies are out of touch with what's really happening in mainstream America and on Main Street America.
No, you were, and I think people forget, but it was a year ago that you guys decided to reopen the economy, and you were criticized everywhere, not here on Newsmax, and Georgia has done, like Florida, a very good job at handling this pandemic. By the way, Governor, do you think there's any chance that Augusta National rescinds Rob Manfred's membership at that club? I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be able to speak to that, but the question I have for Major League Baseball is, you're playing in all kind of states right now, or will be in the next few days,
right,
that have more restrictive laws than we do. They're not saying anything about that. What are they going to do when the Braves make the playoffs? Because I believe they're going to, even though they've had a slow start. What are they going to do then? What event's going to be next? I think, Fay Vincent, the former MLB commissioner, had a great piece in the Wall Street Journal really calling out Major League Baseball for weighing into politics. It's just not right, especially when you have a bill that expands voting access and makes elections more secure. Like, who can be against that?
Yeah, and 35 states right now require voter ID. Denver, by the way, 9% African-American population. Atlanta, 51%. So that should say something right now about what Major League Baseball is doing. A quick question for you. President Trump said yesterday here on Newsmax that he didn't think the bill was strong enough. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the president's opinion about the bill.
Well, again, this bill makes it easy to vote and hard to cheat. We're securing ballot drop boxes. We're taking away the signature audit, which he did not like, replacing it with a photo ID or voter ID requirement. We're making sure elections officials do continuous count, which was another issue that was brought up after the election. And then we're actually expanding the opportunity for people to have access in Georgia. My philosophy and the philosophy of the legislators that are here, and every single Republican voted for this, is to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. And that's what the Democrats are against. They're against the voter ID requirement. They have voted against that, and they voted against access, yet they're saying this is Jim Crow 2.0. I mean, they reserved that domain name weeks before the final bill was even put together, thinking they had a playbook for this, and it's backfiring on them.
And how many drop boxes were there in Georgia in 2019? Absolutely none. And you are continuing to keep drop boxes starting in 2022. Governor Brian Kemp, great to see you. Thanks so much for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you.
Good to see you. Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.